I remember one in particular. She was only 14 and she lived on a dairy farm up the north coast somewhere. I was working with the detectives and they took me out to interview her, and she'd had this baby. We went to the dairy farm and we saw her and her mother and grandmother. Well, grandmother was terrific. She had an enormous safety pin across there, I remember. And her hair was all long and matted and whatnot. And she was trying to make out that she didn't know Betty was pregnant. And I said to her, "But you must have known Betty was pregnant." I said, "Couldn't you see that she was getting fat?" And she said, "Oh yes, but I thought that was because she was drinking so much condensed milk," which tickled me on a dairy farm, condensed milk. But that was Grandma's story and she stuck to it. I saw Betty when she was in hospital, just after she had the baby. Poor downtrodden girl she was. And I said to her, "You know, Betty, you have beautiful hair. If you were to wash and brush it, it would be simply glorious." And she burst into tears and she said, "That's the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me." Wasn't that terrible? That poor girl. Well, she went to, they used to send the girls to a shelter at Toowong. I think it was called St Mary's. Well, from there they disposed of the baby. Sometime after, I had actually left the police force. I was married and I was walking down Adelaide Street one day and this young woman walked toward me and I was taken by her hair. It was fair and I thought, "Oh, isn't that hair beautiful?" And she was beautifully dressed, and when she got close to me she came up and spoke to me and she said, "Oh, Miss Beresford." And I looked at her and I said, "Oh, it's Betty, isn't it?" And she said, "Yes." "Oh," I said, "Betty, you look simply beautiful." I said, "I was struck by your hair, but," I said, "you're beautifully dressed. Are you working?" And she said, "Oh yes, I have a job at Shingle Inn." She had a job at Shingle Inn. And I said, "You really look beautiful." And she said, "Well, I have you to thank for that." And I felt quite pleased when I walked away. I felt that in my own small way I had accomplished something.